Today is May the 6th. Today we see the man who refused to be made a king. Today we see the story of someone who refused to be made a king. Let's read John 6, verses 1 to 15. After this, Jesus went to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, also called the Sea of Tiberias. A large crowd kept following him because they saw the signs that he was doing for the sick. Jesus went up the mountain and sat down there with his disciples. Now the Passover, the festival of the Jews, was near. When he looked up and saw a large crowd coming toward him, Jesus said to Philip, "Where are we to buy bread for these people to eat?" He said this to test him, because he himself knew what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii wouldn't be enough, but wouldn't buy enough bread for each of them to get a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, "There's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are they among so many people?" Jesus said, "Make the people sit down." Now there's a great deal of grass in the place, so they sat down, about 5,000 in all. Then Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated. So also the fish, as much as they wanted. And when they were satisfied, he told the disciples, "Gather up the fragments left over, so that nothing may be lost." They gathered them up, and from the fragments of the 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten, they filled 12 baskets. When the people saw the sign that he had done, they began to say, "This is indeed the prophet who is to come into the world." When Jesus realized that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, he withdrew again to the mountain by himself. What a miracle, the feeding of the 5,000. This is present in all 4 Gospels. Outside of the story of the crucifixion, it's the only passage that occurs in all 4 Gospels. So obviously, this was big news. Jesus' miracle itself has, it reminds us of things from the Old Testament. Manna in the desert. In fact, we'll see that mentioned in the next paragraph. There's also a time in 2 Kings 4, 42 to 44, we've read that already this year, where Elisha feeds 100 men with 20 barley loaves and a few ears of grain. The Messiah also feeds his followers. We see that in Isaiah chapter 40. Let's read that short passage, Isaiah 40, 11 to 16.
Isaiah 40, verse 11 through 16, New Revised Standard Version. He will feed his flock like a shepherd. He will gather the lambs in his arms and carry them in his bosom and gently lead the mother sheep. Who has measured the waters of the seas in the hollows of his hand, and marked off the heavens with a span, enclosed the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales, and the hills in a balance? Who has directed the Spirit of the Lord, or as his counselor has instructed him? Whom did he consult for his enlightenment, and who taught him the path of justice? Who taught him knowledge and showed him the way of understanding? Even the nations are like a drop from a bucket, and are accounted as dust on the scales. See, he takes up the isles like fine dust. Lebanon would not provide fuel enough, nor are its animals enough for burnt offering.
So here in John, we get a specific response. This is a messianic prophecy. The Messiah will feed his flock. The people recognize it. They say, "Aha, let's take him and make him our king." They say first, verse 14, "This is the prophet." Then in verse 15, "Let's make him our king." But this is not what Jesus came to do. What do we do about this today? You know, we need to make sure that we're listening to Jesus. Let's find out what Jesus actually says and not listen to what we think Jesus is saying or what we wish he was saying. Scripture reading from the New Revised Standard Version by Emily Herrera. Let's Find Out Together has a companion podcast called Salty Saints. Zach Killy and I discuss apologetics, scripture, and theology. Look for Salty Saints on your favorite podcast app.